All right, Dave, picture this.
Okay.
You're a doctor.
Wow.
But you got a lot of people who depend on you for your expertise, right?
Sure. I'm a great doctor.
Yeah, you're fucking fantastic. That's why they come to you. They got their ailments, they got their broken bones, and you make some really informed suggestions on how your patients should live for the next 3 months. But it turns out a lot of those suggestions were not so great. Now they're back in the office and they're demanding answers. What do you say?
I don't know, man. Whoops.
Well, fortunately, you and I don't have to do that because we're just a podcast about film and the box office. So let's go to the movies.
Welcome to Picture This, the podcast where we examine the weekly box office and ask, what do movie-going trends say about American culture? I'm Dave. Over the last 10 years, I've worked for a filmmaker, an agent, and at a movie studio in movie marketing.
And I'm Max, the son of an independent movie theater owner and a screenwriter who has loved movies his whole life.
Today, we're talking about the fall movies that we advised you on just a few months ago. We were so excited to recommend these movies that were coming out, and a few months later, wow, how far we've come, both for the good and the bad. So today, Max and I we're going to be reviewing all the movies that we previewed to you back in September, and we're going to share how we overpromised and underdelivered on a lot of them. So we found some gems as well, and we're also going to ask ourselves, was this a good movie year? How do you define a good movie year?
There's a lot of debate. There's a lot of debate about it.
We're going to get
2025. What I'm most looking forward to, Dave, is who we end up blaming for all of our misfires on our list. I think I'm going to blame you.
I think I might blame you too. I'm just going to point fingers here. No, we're going to have, I think, a constructive conversation, maybe with a little blame and shade thrown around. Before we get into all that, well, why don't we do a quick update on the state of the biz? Max, how are we looking?
The state of the biz. Well, let's start with the current box office. We had huge news over Thanksgiving, and that is that Zootopia 2 came out and in like 5 days grossed $157 million. And Dave and I still don't know how on earth this happened because we did not see, we go to the movies all the time. We go to the movies every week and we didn't see a trailer for it. I had no idea what the movie's about. I know there are like a billboard or two around, but I didn't see a whole lot of them. I texted a little sampling of my friends who have kids.
Okay.
And 3 out of 3 said, yes, I had seen something, but not really. Like there was like a YouTube ad there. My one buddy said, oh, on Disney Plus, there was like this big Zootopia 2 sneak peek or behind the scenes or just like something to get people pumped about it.
Yeah.
Which is an amazing amount of money for Disney to save on marketing.
Yeah.
Because this movie right now is sitting at $650 million worldwide. It hasn't even been out for 2 weeks.
Unbelievable. Yeah, Max, we talked a little bit about the giant media conglomerates, specifically Disney and Universal have really perfected this idea of like synergy where they use all their different little like octopus arms of a company, whether it's Disney theme parks or a streaming platform, they all synergize and find ways to use all those different in-house media outlets to like push whatever content there was. We talked about it last week with Universal and Wicked. Disney's doing this with Zootopia, but also one of the silver linings is they know who not to target. And unfortunately, I hate to say on this podcast, but we are definitely the demo that they're like, you know what? We're not going to spend $1 trying to get Max and Dave into our movie.
Well, clearly they don't know Max Kessler very well because Max Kessler is a grown man who watches a lot of cartoons. and he loved Zootopia 1 and would have loved to like have seen a trailer. Instead, not telling him anything spooked him out. It made him think that maybe this movie's not any good and they didn't want to tell anybody about it. But evidently that's not the case because
and I hear it's pretty good. I hear Z2 is actually pretty fun. And like you said, it's in 10 days, it's made over $500 million in a very, very short amount of time. So pretty unbelievable.
Other news in the box office. Five Nights at Freddy's 2 coming out. We don't know what the numbers are going to be, but they're projecting to be a little bit lower than its predecessor, likely coming in around $40 million. That's half of what the previous did. Although I'll say what the previous did was unbelievable And I don't know how unexpected it was, but as a guy who didn't even know that this was based on a really popular video game property, I was completely floored by it.
Yeah.
But the fact that it's still going to do $40 million sounds pretty good for
Yeah.
what this movie probably cost.
Yeah.
But the fact that it's dropping so much, I had a buddy who watched it for the first time the other night.
Yeah.
And he was like, this is not a good movie.
Yeah, the first one really took everyone by surprise in Hollywood, and I think it hit a younger demographic than I think most Hollywood executives, including market executives, just kind of underestimated. And the fact that some people might be quote unquote disappointed by a Chuck E. Cheese Goes Evil sequel kind of surprises me. I think don't look a gift horse in the mouth, guys. It's a win. Just take the win. What else, Max?
We got another big anime property coming out. I'm probably going to say this wrong because I don't speak Japanese, but it's Jujutsu Kaisen Execution. We're seeing projections around $8 to $10 million on that, which, again, is just pretty awesome for movies that previously were straight to late night TV on the Cartoon Network, not that long ago. The last big thing in the news that we'll cover in the box office before we move on is just Wicked for Good, continuing to make some serious cash. They're sitting at about like $440 million worldwide as of Wednesday, middle of the week after Thanksgiving. And, they were in the black after Wicked 1. So everything else is just big Scrooge McDuck vault of money for them. And it's fantastic. I've got no complaints about Wicked performing super well.
Yeah. Good on them, man. Good on them.
What else we got, Dave? What's the business news this week?
Yeah, man, it's been a crazy week. Warner Brothers, it has been for sale. They've been essentially shopping around. Frankly, people have known that the head of Warner Brothers, David Zaslav, have been looking to sell for the last several years. And a couple of weeks ago...
Yeah, ever since he got there, this fucking guy.
Several weeks ago, Paramount, Skydance, after just recently creating a merger where Skydance took over Paramount, they essentially started the pursuit of Warner Brothers. And so for the last several weeks, that has been the narrative of will Paramount get a hold of Warner Brothers? And surprise, surprise, last week it was announced that actually Netflix has come out on top and looks like is in exclusive negotiations with Warner Brothers. There are people that are very upset about it, most notably the people at Paramount, about this deal going that way.
Yeah, seemingly more upset than the WGA, and the WGA is pissed.
Yes.
And rightfully so. But yeah, it is people who are very used to getting everything that they want, not getting what they want, throwing a bit of a tantrum.
Oh, man. It is an earthquake in Hollywood. Just imagine, guys, on your home viewing, you're going to see the creators of the Netflix shows and the creators of the HBO shows all under one roof if this deal goes through.
It sounds like such a bummer. How, in your opinion, your professional opinion, how do you think this changes theatrical?
Well, I think it's important to say that this deal will take minimum a year to 18 months, requiring a lot of okays from government to confirm that it's not a monopoly. But if we're going to play the game and just assume this deal goes forward in 2027, Ted, the head of Netflix, is on the record for saying that he won't change the model that is Warner Brothers. So if you believe in face value, there's a version where Netflix will still be doing their things and they will just like loosely oversee what Warner Brothers is doing. And if it was like this year, hopefully put movies out in theaters like Weapons, like Sinners, like One Battle After Another. But again, if you read the fine print and you look back at Netflix's history, they are not investing in the theatrical experience.
I mean, they specifically said we want to put an end to it almost.
Ted considers it an outdated model. And that, of course, to Max, you and I on this podcast, our sole purpose is to encourage people to enjoy movies in movie theaters. It definitely breaks our hearts. Not that the streaming experience at home is not of value, but seeing this and seeing Skydance take over Paramount and seeing the mergers of Disney and Fox, the involvement of Apple and Amazon now into these spaces, it very much is a confirmation of the technification of Hollywood. Not that we didn't know this as of 3 or 4 years ago, but now it is so clear that consumer behavior has really changed so much that now you really see Silicon Valley really start to like own Hollywood. So I guess as you could see it play out, Max, most people that I trust and admire in their view of Hollywood in the long game is that Netflix will go through with the merger in 2027. They will honor their commitments, especially to the creative community. Greta Gerwig, very famously for Chronicles of Narnia, demanded it. But on the long game, if it's up to Ted, most people would bet that they would at least be shrinking the theatrical window even more than it was. Now, famously, Max, when you and I were growing up, it was at least 90 days in theaters before you'd get it on a VHS or a DVD.
Yeah.
Most experts are saying that this just means it's squishing that theatrical window even shorter than it already is.
Which
And
we've seen is a, like, from this summer alone, is a bad idea. Like, you gotta
Mhm.
let movies stay. Like, when a movie picks up word of mouth, you gotta let it stick around. Like Materialists, or like, I know Weapons opened big, but the fact that it had good word of mouth, the fact that Sinners opened like at 30, which was a solid opening, but like the word of mouth was so strong on it that it stayed in theaters for so long and made so much more money. He said something like the theatrical window should be like 2 weeks, and it's like, dude, Dave, I go to the movies almost every week. I
it's
barely see a movie the week it comes out.
it's
I'm
impossible to
always
keep up.
behind.
We're gonna talk about this. These are two people that are devoted to the movie going experience, and we are even challenged to find time to go to everyone. It is a better experience. It is a different
Yeah.
experience, and Netflix is just in the business of not wanting to support that experience.
I saw Frankenstein in theaters, right? Because the Netflix bought The Egyptian, which, good. Thank you for preserving that theater. It's really important. But it's like, they're like, yeah, we released Frankenstein in theaters. It played in 2 theaters across the country for like a week.
Hmm.
And like, people like me, who are real big dorks, who don't have jobs at the moment, were able to go see it. And it's like, yeah, that's such a small way to think about what a theatrical release is. And also, like, I'm just gonna say one thing about the outdated model or whatever that they claim that the theatrical going experience is. Yes, habits have changed. Yes, streaming has made so much accessible, just the same way that, like, TV competed and home video competed with theatrical going. But like, theatrical going experience is not limited to movies.
Yeah,
Going to share live entertainment, even solely on the dramatic side, like, they dates back to the dawn of civilization.
yeah,
Storytelling around a campfire, the rich history of drama in like Greek society. This is an inherent part of what it means to be human, not to be like a little highfalutin or nothing like that. So to call it an outdated model is an ignorant thing to say.
and I agree, Max. I think from a very hoity-toity, highfalutin, like you said, we don't like to get this ethereal that often on this pod, but fuck it, well
Right.
let's do it. It's our pod, man. It's like, do we really think in our society right now the answer is everyone spending more time at home and siloed by themselves? Is that
Nobody
really?
believes that. Even those of us who can't, who like when it comes around to Friday night and we're just too tired and we're like, oh, I'll stay home. There's a voice in the back of our head going, oh man, I should like go on a walk, or I should get out, or I should,
Sure.
like, we all know that we need to be out more in the world. And there's a lot of reasons why that can't happen right now. A lot of people are broke. I'm one of those people, but it's,
But I
yeah,
think there's so many ramifications for this move, Max. If this proceeds, it is one fewer buyer. Mergers almost always result in elimination of jobs, elimination of opportunities.
yeah.
It's less
And we
creative.
know, I mean, and this has all been recent. Like, we've
Yeah.
seen this, like you said, Disney Fox, Disney Marvel, Disney Lucasfilm. They fired a ton of people,
Yep.
and it's been bad for the business overall.
Yep.
Like, the type of output and the way that studios compete with one another and developers compete with one another, it hasn't been great for audiences either.
I guess closing off a little bit of a conspiracy theory galaxy brain, which I have heard, but in the streaming wars, Netflix is clearly very much on top. Amazon is in second place, and HBO has been in third place and has great prestige and pedigree, especially in the awards circuit. It's often
Yeah.
HBO and Netflix fighting for the most nominations for shows.
And HBO soundly defeating them.
Yes, and HBO, though a smaller industry than Netflix overall, does really well and really puts up a fight and often beats Netflix. There is a conspiracy theory out there, which is Netflix engaging in this deal solely to stymie any growth or change of HBO? If you are a creative and you're pitching a show to Netflix or HBO, and right now you hear in the background that Netflix might own HBO in a year, Who do you think you're going to go to? I have to give props to a take. This is a take off of The Ankler, which creates some great content, but it is a little bit of a conspiracy theory galaxy brain, which is one, would Netflix have even tried to buy Warner Brothers overall if Paramount hadn't started this little pursuit a couple of weeks ago? And then more so, is this a bit of a stalking horse where they're just in it to raise the price, to kind of freeze what HBO and Warner Brothers overall can do in the next 2 years because they're in these negotiations? That's all super galaxy brain. I don't know, but we're definitely going to be continuing to talk about this. The theme of our pod is the movie industry and how it's changing. This is going to radically change it.
Well, with that, let's get into the main topic of the day, Dave. That is fall movies, the review of the preview. So, like we said, we defined in, I think it was like episode 7 back on September 9th, all the movies that we were really excited about between that date and Thanksgiving weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Technically, they weren't our recommended movies, Dave.
How do we do, Max? How do you think we did? That's what we're getting into it.
I think I know how we did, and it's not super great. But we'll caveat this. We're gonna talk about the movies. We're not gonna go in depth on them, but there might be a few spoilers here and there. So if that's not something you want, you might want to skip ahead. Or you just got to watch all the movies that came out this fall, so you don't have to worry about that. So, Dave, we're going to have you go through. You're going to list the movies that we had put on our most anticipated list, but you have them in order from most disappointing to least disappointing.
I did. Yeah, Max, I'm so proud of our preview episode in September because it's kind of my favorite time of year, coming out of a summer and seeing the what's typically considered the more serious, more cinema forward content. And so I was so stoked for that episode, and I loved our recommendation. And I will just start off by saying I'm sorry. Because man, I think overall, hate to say it, but there were a lot of misses this fall, at least from our list. We don't want to neg movies and movie makers in general. We know we're both in the industry, around the industry, and we know how hard it is to make a movie, to market a movie, to convince people to want to see your movie, to say something like truthful and impactful. So in general, we want to encourage the filmmakers to keep trying and keep doing what they're doing. Doesn't mean it's always...
I'm gonna add an even more caveat to that as a guy who's a active screenwriter who has tried to make things before in the past, and they have not even cleared even the entry level hurdles that these movies have and these filmmakers have and have proven themselves. And even in the portions of filmmaking where I was really disappointed, they're still outperforming my talent by quite a bit. I do have a tremendous amount of respect for everybody on this list who has come out to make art. But at the same time, I got some beef.
So, okay, we've done so much throat clearing. If you're listening to this podcast, you know we love movies and filmmakers, but we're gonna start at the bottom of our list of 10. My most disappointing, which was my number 1 on the fall preview list, which is Catherine Bigelow's House of Dynamite. House of Dynamite, again, as a refresher, was a taut thriller about what would happen if a nuclear weapon was mysteriously launched towards the U.S. and how people in the government try to handle it, manage it, thwart it. And Catherine Bigelow, master filmmaker who did movies like Zero Dark 30 and Point Break, and it just sucked.
I had just watched Dr. Strangelove again, so I was really rooting for it. Full disclosure, folks, I ended up not watching this because I had multiple people who listened to this podcast who decided to watch it, told me the ending. And it sounds like you get right up to the point where the thing that's supposed to happen is you're waiting for it to happen, and it don't happen. So people do not like this movie.
Yeah. And I will also share, especially because of our conversation about Netflix, this one I was not able to see in theaters, so it was a home watch.
Did it even happen?
I don't know. If it was anywhere, it would have been in the Egyptian, probably by that theater that Max, you like to go to. Great theater, but I missed it. I watched it at home. Maybe that was a deciding factor because, again, a lot of people out of the film festivals this summer saw it, said it was great, got me hyped up for it. I saw it at home. I was pretty diligent about not checking my phone, not getting distracted. just didn't work for me. Again, Max, like you watching it, I'd love to hear your take because you're a writer. And I think
I still want to watch it. And I told the
yeah.
people who listen to our podcast who watched it because we told them to, that I was still going to do it. So I think I should. And I am curious because the disappointment level is so high and the frustration from the viewers is so high that I do feel like there's value in me checking it out. So maybe I'll still try and do that.
Absolutely. Also, Max and I, we talked, we also want to be considerate. We're not going to neg filmmakers. And also we don't want to, of course, discourage you from seeing movies. The ability to go out and see movies, we get it. It's hard. You have to carve out time. I think if anything, we encourage you to see all kinds of movies, but if listening to us helps you prioritize, feel free to pass on this one.
Yeah, I'm going to try and watch this for an educational experience. That's not why you should watch any movies. So. All right, now, Dave, the next one, we already talked about this one in great length, right?
Yes, this is the second most disappointing for me, which is Luca Guadagnino's After the Hunt. This is Julia Roberts starring Iowa Debris, Andrew Garfield, and a he said, she said melodrama on a college campus of was there sexual impropriety between the Andrew Garfield character and the Iowa Debris character. This had probably the highest degree of difficulty. These movies tend not to work often because the social sentiment is so hard to nail. And boy, this one just whiffed. We talked about it on a previous episode, and I think like Max,
check out that's our Rotten Tomatoes episode. It's a bonus mini episode, so check that out if you want to hear a little bit more on that. But yeah, yes. I think the headline across the board on that was everybody who saw it was like, "Hey man, A for effort," but nah, you could pass. Now, Dave, I'm really curious about this next one because I'm not even curious. I'm like heartbroken seeing it so low on your list because it's something I'm still going to try and see, but number 3 most disappointed is Sentimental Value, for real?
That's right, man. This is one where any authority that you might associate to me as far as like, hey, we're in the movie business. We see a lot of movies. Of course, I think I have good taste, but this is one where like, I just didn't get it. And it had so many great reviews, but I just thought it just like totally missed the mark. It didn't capitalize on some of the moments that me as a moviegoer wanted to see. I think it tried to do something. Yes.
Is it, having not seen a frame of this film, do you think it might be like cultural? Like, is it too European? Or is it just like there's some storytelling basics in there? You're like, well, what about that thing?
I think, but I think both are options. This is one of those things where like, I think I even want to see it again just to understand why it so didn't work for me. I did see it in movie theaters and I did see other people crying, getting emotional in it. I for sure thought I would be there and I walked out like, what the fuck? Maybe I came in with my expectations too high. So maybe I've successfully lowered the expectations for all the listeners, and maybe someone else will enjoy it.
Well, yeah, for me now I'm primed. I'm ready to go. Because like again, when we first talked about this, we were like, we watched the trailer and we were tearing up. It has to be amazing because this last movie was. And now you're like, it was pretty disappointing. And I'm like, I'm good to go. Let's fucking do this.
It feels like Emperor Has No Clothes. Like I don't get why everyone else loved it so much.
But those are the ones that generally drive me the craziest, as we know from Superman.
Yes,
is sometimes it's like the movie isn't that bad, but the fact that people are gushing about it in certain ways just makes you go like, "Am I the crazy one here? Like, what is everybody talking about?" And then you get like more mad at the movie. Anyhow, these next two did you see either of these next two movies?
This is our whiff. This is our original stand of the pod.
So as we mentioned, getting to the movies is hard, and even people who run movie podcasts and recommend 10 movies to go see in 3 months might not make it to all those. Full disclosure, folks, I only made it to 5 of these movies in theaters, and instead I actually went to go see a couple other movies that weren't on this list. So my bad, y'all. But the next one is this movie called Him. It was a movie about a rookie quarterback starting his time in the NFL, and it was like a horror movie starring Marlon Wayans. Kudos to Marlon Wayans for going out and trying to promote the hell out of this movie.
Yeah, he was working.
Even though it seems like it didn't work and audiences didn't respond to it. I ended up not seeing it. My partner saw it. One of my best friends saw it. They both had very mixed reactions to it. My partner, she was a little bit more like negative toward it. And my best friend, his exact words were, look, I loved it, but if somebody told me that they hated it, I would totally understand. And I feel like that's just kind of the deal with that movie. can't really rank it on the disappointing list, although I think for most people it sounds like it was pretty disappointing. The next one is this movie called Good Boy, and I almost want to just pick it up and extract it from the list.
Yeah.
Because it was both somewhat disappointing on the story end, but the filmmaking end was so good.
Mm-hmm.
It was a horror movie where the main character was a dog. You are following the dog's perspective, and there's some genuinely very scary moments in it.
Yeah.
There's a little like 5-minute making of at the end of the movie where the filmmakers, it was like a husband and wife team, show you how they made the film. And it took them 4 years. And sometimes they would like come home from work and just try and get one shot of the dog, like looking to a corner, looking kind of scared. And they would just spend a couple hours making that every night. And super successful. The movie looks beautiful. The dog's performance is incredible. And that's what you get when you do 100 takes with a dog.
Yeah.
And I think it's worth seeing. It's a really cool movie and it's very worth seeing. I would encourage anybody to check it out. It was one of those things that made me want to go make my movie because this couple did it. They did it in their spare time. They made it for super cheap. It was a great idea, great concept, and it was very well executed. And that's the kind of thing where it's just like, oh, like they just did art for art's sake. And they shared it with me and I got to have this wonderful experience. So kudos to Good Boy. So Dave, this next one also a little heartbreaking to see it where it is because I had bigger hopes for it.
Yeah, we're in the top 5 now. Now I guess we technically can say on the rise to most successful. But like again, at 5 on this list of 10 is Hamnet. Hamnet is the story of Will Shakespeare and his wife, his partner, and their family, and how it led to Shakespeare writing Hamlet. And without getting too much into spoilers, it is about a little bit about a family tragedy, and it's getting like ecstatic reviews, unbelievable reviews out of film festivals. Good per screen average now that it's released into the general public. People are really, really high on it. I saw it. It's good. I've gotten really a bunch of texts from friends that are totally enamored by it. The filmmaker, I think this is a personal preference. Her name is Chloe Zhao. She has a very naturalistic style that I don't think always fits with me.
You didn't like Nomadland, right? You weren't a fan of Nomadland?
She very famously won Best Picture for Nomadland, Max. You're right. And that movie, your boy didn't like it. I was not in on that. So maybe that's
Dave, I had this exact conversation with my buddy Jeff the other day. He went to go see Hamnet and he was like mad about it. He was mad. Like he really didn't like it. And then I was like, oh, that's so weird because I really love Nomadland and it really hit with me. And he was like, that movie? That movie that says nothing about humanity? And I was like, oh, bro. I was like, you didn't ruin Hamnet. Now I could go see Hamnet because I know I'm going to like it.
Yeah. It's here. And here's the thing on our list, I am putting it as good, as good. Go see it. Jessie Buckley, the heart and soul of the movie, much rumored to be the lead as far as winning best actress. And again, for Chloe Zhao, this is as propulsive and fast moving as I think she wants to get. And I appreciate that. Again, like go see it. It's really good. It's going to be talked about. Great performances. Yeah. I am not putting it at the top of my list.
Yeah. Well,
what's ahead of this? Yeah.
The next one almost feels too low for me, Dave. We're going. Yeah. This is your rankings, but Good Fortune, the comedy starring Aziz Ansari, Seth Rogen, and Keanu Reeves, as well as Keke Palmer and Sandra Oh. I saw this movie. It took me weeks and weeks to see this movie. Speaking of release windows, and I'm so glad that I actually went. I thought it was just so good-natured and so unusual. I laughed a lot. The whole theater laughed a lot. It's kind of this retelling of It's a Wonderful Life where an angel comes down to Earth. And Aziz Ansari is this guy who's really struggling. He's living out of his car, doing essentially like Uber Eats and stuff to try and pay the bills. And he just can't stay ahead. And as a guy who's like been without a job for a long time and who, when he first moved out to LA, was living on his buddy's couch during, the height of the financial crisis when there were no jobs. Like I really, really identified with this a lot. Yeah. And it's felt like they really did a good job, not dialing super hard into the message of the film, but just kind of letting you sit in the experience that this guy was going in. And at the same time, making huge funny jokes about it. The angel switches his places with a super rich tech guy, and then they kind of get stuck in each other's bodies. They all get stuck in a bad situation. and then the angel, he becomes human and he has to get a couple of jobs too. I thought it was just a really interesting thing to say about the current state of like the working American.
Yeah.
And fuck, I loved this movie. I loved it.
Yeah, dude, just hearing you talk about it, I agree. Maybe this even argues maybe it should be a little higher. I really love our top 3 that are coming up, but Good Fortune totally worked on me. These are the types of movies that like I'm very happy that came out this year, that are like really, really solid.
Yeah.
Did have some like heavy thematics. Again, we like to talk about like what it means to be in America, to live in America right now, but also fucking funny. You got Seth Rogen, you got Keanu was really funny.
All the pats on the back for that performance. I thought it was awesome.
All right, into our top 3. We talked about this on an earlier podcast, and it helped define to me something that I'm seeing. I swear other people are picking up on this phrase, but the Big Dumb Movie episode we talked about. We talked about Predator Badlands. Really worked. Really worked for me as an action movie, as something light, as something unpretentious, and something really fun. With managing to have some big ideas to it. I offered to you, Max, that like maybe it's a little too smart to be a big dumb movie. You very quickly shot that down and said, no, it's just dumb enough.
Yeah, I think again, my whole thing with Predator Badlands was where it's rated R, it's great, and where it's PG-13, it's kind of a letdown. I thought the mismatched couple at the center of the film, played a little odd for me, but I can't lie to you guys, like some of those jokes made me laugh. And, so I have nothing really negative to say about Predator Badlands other than that it wasn't Prey. Prey was fucking better.
Yeah, that's fair. You want to take 2?
Yeah, because with every passing hour, this movie feels like more of a disappointment to me. Dave, I can't even tell you, like, since our episode came out, like I was on the picture of this Reddit account talking to all sorts of people about Bugonia. A bunch of my friends went and saw it. And it's just like that ending is such a huge debate amongst people. And I think intentionally so. And it makes me even madder, like how intentional it seems that ending was meant to just like cause this kind of chatter. This is like one of the few cases where I think the chatter actually hurt the movie at the box office.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's interesting because much like Good Fortune, Bugonia is all about the current state of the American worker, really, and how big companies at times have preyed upon communities and individuals, particularly under the context of the opioid crisis, and how destructive it can be. And then felt like the ending, like the last 5 minutes, particularly 10 minutes of the movie, completely undermined everything that it was examining and everything that it was saying, and just kind of, almost like it was playing a prank on us. And that makes me really, really mad because I don't like when a movie plays a prank on me.
Oh man, see, like Max, you and I love you. I love your movie taste, and we're just like we totally come at this in a different way. I go into like these movies, especially what a great year of taking on important American thematic ideas.
Yeah,
I think you want the movie to actually solve them, and I'm like,
no,
of course
I
no
don't
one's
want
gonna fucking solve it. Like I was just happy to have like Jesse Plemons and Emma Stone giving rock star performances, talking about it. And I think the filmmaker at the end and to avoid spoilers, like he doesn't try to land any plane. He's just like, well, fuck it. We're gonna do something totally different. And
what he does goes, you've never even been in a plane. And I'm like, wait, what? I don't need him to land the plane. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want him to like make some grand statement about how everything gets solved. Like I said, I thought the movie should have ended with her in the ambulance. I was literally changing nothing about the movie except just trimming off that end. We won't get into it too much anymore, but I will to go off of what you're saying. Jesse Plemons is still my pick for best actor of the year. That performance was so incredible.
Yeah. Heartbreaking.
And yeah, just heartbreaking. And he really nailed, like I said, what that means to be a person who's been through all that stuff and the destruction that it does to an individual. And I think rewarding him for that is super well deserved. But I'm taking Yorgos off my best director list for sure. Take that, Yorgos. Now, Dave, I feel like you've earned this final one. I think.
Yeah. Well, this will be.
How many times did you see this in theaters?
I think I saw it 3 times in theaters.
Damn, bro.
Which is One, our number one is One Battle After Another. This is, of course, Paul Thomas Anderson's movie starring Leonardo DiCaprio, Benicio del Toro, Teyana Taylor, Regina Hall, a whole bunch of amazing people. We've talked about it at length on our pod, and just can't say enough good things about it. Elements are still rattling around in my brain, and this is one of those rare occasions where, even though I think it was ranked in our original anticipation list at 5. I think if you said at the beginning of the year that most anticipated movies of the year to a wide swath of Hollywood people, this would be in the top 3, probably the top 1. And I think almost universally people are saying that it delivered.
For sure.
Max,
even people who have major criticisms of the movie,
yes,
which I think are very legitimate. There's a lot of really great critical chatter around this movie that is both, like actually coming hard at PTA and also just generally good critic. But even the people who have a lot of issues with the movie are still saying, but it's a pretty good movie and you should see it. And I think this speaks to the dynamicism of the movie. There's a lot of different things that you can get behind in the film. And there's a lot of different kind of phases of the movie, like the dramatic experience of the film. There's a bunch of really incredible performances. My supporting actor is definitely going toward Benicio del Toro. I think one of my favorite cinematic characters in movies of all time.
He's incredible. He's incredible in it.
And then just the end sequence and the way that it was shot and how tense it was, an absolute joy to just go through that process for sure.
It's incredible. Can't recommend this movie enough, though. Like, this is not a hot take. If you're listening to this podcast this deep into it and you haven't seen One Battle, you got to do it. It's unbelievable. Yeah. So I think overall, I think this is pretty typical for looking back on movies that you anticipate and that you're pleasantly surprised by some and you're disappointed by others.
I think probably for anything, the number of things that you're anticipating and thinking that you're going to enjoy is often less than the things that actually end up delivering. So with that, I think we should actually kind of talk about box office wise, what delivered, what underperformed, what maybe did okay, and what we're still finding out about. So what really delivered this fall? Like we said, Predator Badlands did deliver, and that was the one off of our most anticipated list that I think did the best. And then the other ones that we mentioned, obviously Zootopia killing it, Wicked for Good killing it. We mentioned Black Phone 2 a lot.
Yeah.
I know some of the filmmakers and very happy that it was successful. I think the big surprise was Regretting You. This movie based off of a book that's just kind of slowly, cashing checks every single week, kind of, melodramatic, sentimental, somewhat romantic genre that I think really deserves a place at least once a quarter in the movie pantheon. So very happy for that. Anyhow, the other two big mentions, obviously Demon Slayer, an anime that came to America and made like $150 million or something crazy. Really amazing story there. Followed closely, but almost more unbelievably, with the success of Chainsaw Man. Absolutely bananas and violent and sexual, and still made like, I think, $40 or $50 million in the US as a Japanese language animated movie.
Max, what underperformed? Why don't I kick this section off? Because a lot of these were on our list even. First up is Begonia.
If we take the budget conversation out of these movies, if you take ticket sales, I think Begonia did fine. But, it cost too much goddamn money. So technically it underperformed.
Smashing Machine is this next movie, which was led by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. This was obviously a more serious approach and dramatic performance by him. I think he delivers the goods, and yet this movie couldn't deliver the box office. Next one, this is actually hilariously not talked about by us and by many. Kiss of the Spider Woman, starring Jennifer fucking Lopez and Diego Luna, who, okay, maybe not a tier 1 star, but really
coming off Andor.
Yeah, coming off exactly.
I think Andor was still airing when this movie was like coming out in theaters.
Spinal Tap 2 is next on our list. This also kind of came and went to me. I love the original. Max, what did you think about it?
I really, really wanted to see it, and I think the only people that saw it were my parents, who, Spinal Tap 1 was a big deal when it came out for them before we were born. Young kids have no fucking idea what it is or frame of reference for it. Truth is, like, I'm a big hard rock heavy metal guy, so Spinal Tap is like, it makes sense to me, but like, that's not that's rock and roll is not in the lexicon like that at all anymore. It's almost like they made it just for the fans, and I'm cool with that. And I still will. I know I will see this movie at some point because I'm a fan, but I'm not surprised at its performance.
Yeah.
Really, I'm really not.
I'm going to rattle off a couple of the other underperformance. If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. This is a movie starring Rose Byrne that's also getting great reviews. Running Man, we talked about, a big swing from Paramount and Glenn Powell that just didn't work. See our earlier episode about movie stars. Deliver Me From Nowhere. This is the Springsteen movie. Tron Ares. Lots of problems. Big Bold Beautiful Journey. This is a movie that starred Margot Robbie and Colin Farrell. Also crashed and burned. Eternity, which was a recent release by A24. Interesting kind of softer fare. For some, I can't get to the bottom of why this one didn't work, but a movie like Regretting You did.
This one actually, like I saw the budget recently and I put it on our underperformed list because I thought it was more expensive. Actually, it's only a $15 million movie, so it might end up doing okay.
Great.
The next one, though, Dave, I don't even know. I haven't talked to anyone who's seen it. I don't like Die My Love with Robert Pattinson and Jennifer Lawrence. Jennifer Lawrence looked kind of good, and no one went to go see it.
Yeah, real quiet release. I actually saw it for the marketing. I thought they did a decent job of trying to get the word out, and Jennifer Lawrence was doing interviews and being charming with Robert Pattinson. I hear it's really interesting, challenging material. She gives a great performance. Not enough people showed up. And then Max, this movie, Keeper. This was directed by Osgood Perkins, who did Longlegs. Have you seen this one?
No, I saw the trailer. I thought the trailer looked really good, and then it came out, and people were like, blah, blah. The reviews all over the place were really bad. So I was like, well, I guess I'll skip that.
Yeah,
but it's a horror movie that was not expensive and still underperformed. And we talked a little bit about the state of horror movies right now and possible oversaturation. So I thought it was an interesting one to highlight. Dave, do you have any thoughts about Roofman?
That's another one that's it feels very mid in its critical reviews, mid in its box office performance. Yeah. Frankly, to me, mid in its appeal.
What's interesting mostly maybe about this movie goes back to our movie star conversation. If this did not star Channing Tatum, Peter Dinklage, Kirsten Dunst, and Lakeith Stanfield, I don't think anybody went to go see it.
Yeah.
So it's cool that those actors identified with the material and made the movie, and they're not maybe it didn't knock it out of the park, but I'm kind of glad a movie like this exists in the same way that I'm glad Regretting You exists.
Yeah, this is just, I think overall these underperformances are something to speak to the overall theme of the year, which is many of these are star-led, interesting, quote unquote interesting, maybe not the most commercial themed movies that I think cinephiles like us hope enough cinephiles show up to make them work. And this is just a laundry list of either we didn't, or it didn't get enough mainstream love, or they were made by too much money, but underperformed.
The other questionable one, because obviously it's a Netflix film, but is Frankenstein.
I wanted to talk to you about this, Max. Tell me about Frankenstein.
Well, I went to go see it at the Egyptian. I think the showings of the Egyptian were very well attended for the 2 or 3 weeks that it was out. I enjoyed it, and I'm a Guillermo del Toro fan. This was not one of his strongest movies.
Yeah.
It was arguably way too loyal to the book, which I also find boring. But there were some really big standout stuffs, like the sequence of him in the lab creating the monster was really incredible. It was visually stunning. A lot of the props and the sets looked really good.
Yeah.
But the backgrounds and the mat looked very digital. Kind of took me out. I think that's a common complaint about it. There was some really awesome stuff in this movie, but it wasn't Shape of Water or Pinocchio or even most of Nightmare Alley, which I really enjoyed, and certainly not Pan's Labyrinth.
I wanted to ask you, because Max, we had this conversation about Netflix and how they're potentially taking over Warner Brothers and what that's going to do to the theatrical. And what I have found anecdotally, you saw it in theaters and you were, sounds like mixed positive. I would
say strictly positive. I got out of that movie. I felt very good. I was it was definitely, here's the thing. It was definitely a movie to see in theaters. It's a big theatrical. Like I said, the sets were really elaborate. There's a ton of design. The costumes were big. It's a period piece. There were special effects. It's gothic. It is a theaters movie. Guillermo del Toro makes movies for the theaters.
And I will admit, didn't make it to the theaters, potentially because Netflix giving it that limited theatrical run of a couple weeks. Missed it at the Egyptian, great theater. So I had to see it at home. I would say, like, I was mixed positive on it. There were some things I didn't like as much. My wife, out on the movie. Lots of my friends who saw it at home, totally out on the movie, downright making fun of the movie, all of which watched it at home. And this is, I think, to me, the crux of the earlier conversation about the Netflixification of a Warner Brothers and the danger, which is like we talk about often on the pod, but the theme of this is a product that is best served in a big theater in a huge movie going experience versus
$150 million movie.
$150 million movie.
And you put it out in like 4 movie theaters.
And for some reason, the maths for Netflix, for some reason that works for them. And that still blows my mind. But meanwhile, I have another friend named Max just dunk on this movie, just like hating on it. Now, again, like I can't totally defend it. There were some holes in the movie, but I ultimately was more mixed positive. Everyone that I know that dunked on it saw it at home. And the people, including you, that saw it in theaters were at least mixed positive. And some downright were like, it was amazing. And I think that's a real interesting snapshot of where we are in 2025 when it comes to movies.
So, Dave, out of everything that you've got on your list so far, I mean, if you had to pick one movie that people should have seen from this fall that people like kind of didn't show up to, what would you pick?
I think I'm going to zag on your question a little, Max, and play to the overall theme of this episode, which is this Rian Johnson Knives Out movie called Wake Up Dead Man, which I did see. This is another movie similar to Frankenstein. It is a Netflix release movie that had a limited run in theaters, and I saw it at the Egyptian. We keep bringing this up because that's where Netflix releases for a very limited time most of their movies. And Rian Johnson is a name I'm surprised we have not talked about on our podcast. He is one of my favorite filmmakers ever since he made this very low budget movie from over 15 years ago called Brick. Then he went on to gain success, made a Star Wars movie, and then made the first Knives Out movie, which was a theatrical release done by Lionsgate. And it crushed and it surprised people. This like little whodunit, kind of an Agatha Christie movie, and it crushed. Rian Johnson is an incredible filmmaker. I would put him up there with a Ryan Coogler, with a Damien Chazelle. He's got all these great skills. He's also a writer. And this is the third movie, the second one released on Netflix. And I feel like it's going to go out with a whimper. Meanwhile, if this was a proper theatrical release, it stars an ex-James Bond, Daniel Craig, and it is Josh Brolin, this sexy young guy named Josh O'Connor, who was also in Challengers.
That guy's had 4 movies this year.
He's just
having a good year.
It is a murderer's row of cast, of talent, of writing talent, of directing talent. And I even found myself kind of taking it for granted because of the Netflix effect a little bit. So I'm sure people will discover this when it comes out on Netflix Prop, and it will be in your top 10 list. I encourage you to check it out there. But that's a movie that, like, I think I'm lamenting on this episode a little bit of how the theatrical experience could be changing. Really wish people would show up to that in theaters if it still is in theaters.
Or could have had the opportunity. I think that answers the question.
Yeah. Max, what about you? What was
that would have been, honestly, I think you're totally right on that. If that came out properly in theaters this fall, it could have been a massive hit. I'm just going to go back to Good Fortune. I think that's the movie where if I have to think back to the entire fall release calendar, that's the one that I wish people really showed up to. I thought it was really fantastic. It captures what a lot of people are going through in the moment. I hope it finds a huge audience on streaming. Please check it out.
Agreed. All right, Max, and all this talk to lead up to a question, though December is a big month with some serious releases. Looking back, we're almost culminating the first year of this pod. And I kind of wanted to just ask you, like, was it a good movie year? I would love to hear your answer. But first off, have you thought about what are the things that you think make up a good movie year?
Only because you told me you were going to ask me this on the podcast, and I think I came up with a pretty good definition.
Great.
So here's how I'm going to qualify this, right? A good movie year is defined, according to me, as at least one movie a month that comes out that would make me enthusiastically tell someone else to go see it. And I mean,
Wow.
enthusiastically is like the key word there. I
Yeah.
don't mean like losing your mind, but being like, oh, it was so cool. I had so much fun. The next criteria is they
Yes.
need to be in at least 5 distinctly different dramas. We're required to have one comedy. Some of them have to be big dumb movies, big dumb fun
Mm-hmm.
movies. Some of them have to be comedies. And half of those 12, so at least 6 of these movies, have to be non-tentpole, non-action superhero, family animated movies. They have to be smaller movies. They don't necessarily have to be independent movies, although generally that would help.
Wow. This is a list.
And I went through my list of movies that I've seen, and I have 13 as
Whoa. All
of
right.
November,
Yeah.
right? So, yeah, I would say 2025 has not been a great year for the box office, but it's been a great year for movies.
Yeah.
How would you define this?
Dang, Max, you always just out quant my shit. I was like I'm gonna give a very like softy
Well,
emotional
yeah,
answer, but
give a simpler one.
I think there's a debate often on if it's a good movie year, which is the quantity of good movies, the quantity of like better than average movies versus like how high were the highs. And I think that,
Right.
and maybe that's just a personal thing of maybe there are fewer movies that are good, but you get like 2 or 3 that are like all-time movies that you know you're going to visit for the next 10, 15 years. I haven't formally put my list together, but in thinking of the movies this year, the trend that I was noticing for the movies that I was liking, and just looking at our fall preview list and how certain ones disappointed me, at least, we have said here on this podcast, there's oftentimes a bifurcation between like the big dumb movies, to call it, the DC movies, the large budget action movies, and then the small dramas that are going for an award season, like a Hamnet or a Sentimental Value. I think what I am thrilled about for this year and why I do think it's a good movie year is I'm so impressed with this mixing very mainstream movies with really interesting thematic ideas.
Yeah.
I categorize One Battle After Another in doing that. I also categorize movies like Sinners and Weapons also doing that, both with the mainstream sell. But if you really get under the hood, there's some deep stuff that's being thought about and talked about. Max, I'm so thrilled that like you describing Good Fortune here again, even though I saw it, you raised that up for me to fit in that bucket as well, which is like, you could convince someone to buy a ticket because, hey, I want to hang out with Keanu Reeves and Aziz Ansari and Seth Rogen and laugh. But in it, though, there's some themes about like how hard it is to make it in America right
Dude,
now.
that
And
movie is about real shit,
yeah,
beginning to end, and it is not just smothering you with it.
yeah, and you're laughing through it. And maybe I think again, reflection of my own taste, like I ranked Hamnet and Sentimental Value a little lower because I think that was going for a very specific audience and a specific approach to appeal to Academy voters and a very serious side, where I feel a little spoiled after seeing Sinners and being horrified by the action sequence, but also like blown away by the commentary on being creative in America and being black in America. So
yeah. Well, Dave, it sounds to me like kind of what you're saying is a movie like Hamnet, a movie like Sentimental Value, even if they're extremely well made, they do feel like the type of movie that could come out any year. But then if you look at Weapons, One Battle After Another, Sinners, Friendship, Good Fortune, Good Boy to a certain extent, these are movies that feel like they're just unique.
I don't know if every year is gonna be like this. Like,
No,
I think the normal route of Hollywood is more you're a $200 million movie or you're under $30 million. Ultimately, I loved this movie year because I think there are a handful of 5-star masterpieces. I think you quantified it at like about 12 movies that you'd encourage people. I think my criteria is lower than that. It's like if I leave a movie year and see like 6 to 8 movies that I'm like, oh, I will definitely revisit that. I will definitely think about that for the next 10 years. And I think we got a couple this year that do that. For me, the highs this year were so freaking high.
Yeah, the variety this year and the things that ended up being big, like Sinners, were so interesting.
Yeah.
Those highs are really high and they're really hard to replicate. So I don't think 2026 is going to deliver a year like this, and that 2025 will stand out as a good movie year.
All right, Max, we're gearing towards the end of the year, our first year wrapping up. Picture this. As Max said, there's a couple more interesting December releases left on the table. Marty Supreme being one of them. Is This Thing On, which is Bradley Cooper's next movie. He's a filmmaker I really love. But we would be stupid. We would be morons if we did not mention the 800-pound blue gorilla, which is Avatar 3. And I can't wait to hear in depth your take. That's what we're excited to talk about next. But a whole host of movies as well. The Testament of Anley, No Other Choice. There's a SpongeBob movie coming out.
Dude, I'm seeing 13 movies between now and December 31st that all might be really good. December, what a great time to go out and check stuff out. With that said, Dave, I mean, what are you going to go see next?
I say with a heavy heart, there are movies on Netflix that I'm excited about right now. You laid out you laid out several movies in theaters. I am very excited for Marty Supreme, which is a good couple weeks away. There are a couple other ones in theaters, like Is This Thing On? But Jay Kelly, which to see our movie star episode, it's a commentary about movie stardom starring George Clooney and Adam Sandler. Don't know why that's not a full-on theatrical experience. That is on Netflix. I will definitely be checking that out, as well as a movie called Train Dreams, which is getting great reviews. Max, what about you? What are you excited to see?
I mean, look, I gotta go see Sentimental Value. I gotta go see Hamnet. But what I'm really excited about is Fackham Hall. This Naked Gun style parody of the Downton Abbey movies. It just looks like a land of 1,000 gags, and I could use that right now. I'm going to see a lot. There's no shortage of anything. With that, all I can say, Dave, is I'll see you at the movies, dude.
I'll see you at the movies, brother.